The Houston Texans lose a close game at home against Tampa, falling to 0-2 on the season. And for some people, it's time to hit the panic button. Houston, I think we have a problem.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Nation, from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texan podcast is for Texan fans all around. And this show is also for all of my everydayers from the Himalayas, continuing to make the Locked On Texans podcast your first listen of the day. Newcomer to the show, thank you for checking out the episode, checking out the podcast. I am your Texans Credential Media member, football analyst, also heard on ESPN, Southwest Radio, and right here in Houston at KHOU. I am John Hickman, covering your team every day. Today's episode is all about the team starting 0-2, the faith or lack thereof in the organization to actually get over the hump and get into the A-tier group of teams. So I think we need to end off today's show just looking at, is the faith loss in the organization from the fan base? I think that's a valid conversation to have. Also, the defensive letdown. We're going to highlight all of the things that the team did all together, both sides of the ball, even special teams, right? But I think because this is a team with a defensive head coach, defensive-minded head coach, a great defense, or what we thought would be a top 5 defense in the NFL, right? And also a team that prides themselves on being the best of the best. The defense let the Houston Texans down last night against the Bucs. But I'm going to open up today's show just kind of looking at this team being who they are, who they've shown us to be, the hope, the thought process of who they could be if a new coordinator was in and Bobby Slowick is out, and all of the things that we felt like we would see a difference in this season. You haven't seen it yet. This team is who they are. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There is a lot of shared blame to go around. Missed tackles on the defensive side of the ball, terrible red zone play calling on the 1 yard line, the usage, oh my gosh, the usage of Dare and pass protection consistently throughout the game, and just his usage on the field altogether. Also, CJ Stroud missing reads consistently. But where I want to start this conversation, Texas fans, is here. When you allow a team to win the time of possession 37-22, and when you allow a team to run all over you, giving up 165 yards, rushing yards on the ground, 5.6 yards per carry, and when that team gets into the red zone and has a plan on scoring in the red zone, said team that is allowing all of this is not a team that should be taken seriously. This is a team that scored 10 points fast, came out looking good, and didn't act like they've been there before. This is a team, as it currently stands, cannot overcome costly mistakes they make because offensively they have a talent deficit. And as the night is going on against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the offense settled back into their very bad habits. And a lot of their talent deficiency, has a lot to do with not playing the younger talent because of their commitment to the vets. And I'm going to say this, that commitment to the vets is also a Patriot way thing that has become increasingly annoying to watch and witness. This is a team that mismanaged the offseason, signed a defensive liability in coverage to a contract, and sold us the dream that coaching will get them over the hump in terms of better offensive line play. Now, in some areas, improvements have been made, albeit minor. We've seen some minor improvements. This is a team, based on what I am seeing, feels like their quarterback is losing faith in how they've gone about getting what he needs to be a top-tier quarterback. And for a second week, Houston, though they did cut down the number of penalties, has costly penalties that hurt them on significant drives. 3 first downs picked up from penalties. And this is a team that, despite their efforts, we're hearing about the opportunities to win the game and not actually winning the game. I think about the importance of Houston avoiding being down 0-2, and here we are, talking about a team that is currently down 0-2 to start the season due to their own mistakes or coaching in critical moments. But everything can be and should be wrapped into the bigger issue, and that is these issues are all byproducts of the decision-making from both DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio. The effects of hiring a first-time play caller is showing in this team, which interviews several experienced play callers in the offseason, is suffering from situational awareness, red zone execution, to personnel identity. And again, you cannot sell me on a dream, or you cannot sell me on the hope of Dare being on the field constantly after being beat, constantly over Woody Marks, who can make plays, make the most of his snaps, make plays in the passing game or the running game, and who also shown him to lay his body out to pick up an inside blitz to give his quarterback more time. And then you look at Laken Thomason, a left guard. His PFF grade was god-awful. Was never sold on him from the preseason, and he was bad last night. That was not unexpected because this has been his MO since entering the league. And if you guys remember, shout out to my everydayers, I've been one of the guys that were thinking and saying, hey, listen, Houston needs to get Juice Scruggs out there with the first team to see what his impact could look like, because Laken ain't cutting it. This team is going to fight hard to climb itself out of a hole. Try to even their record going on a tough October schedule in a couple of weeks. But the feeling right now is it's going to get worse before it gets better. And Houston cannot afford that. But because this team hangs his hat on the defense, we have to talk about how undisciplined, like that undisciplined tag, it isn't just the penalties, but it's also on-field play. I think the defense let the Houston Texans down when they needed them the most. Can I put a lot of blame on them for doing that? Absolutely not. But this is a team that coming into the offseason, we're going to have the best secondary in the league. The person who said that had a rough night. This would be a top 5 defensive unit. Daniil Hunter showed up. Will Anderson showed up. Sheldon Rankins showed up. But collectively, as a unit, that was a piss-poor performance from the defense. So we got more Locked On Texans talk on the other side. Make sure you stick around as I dive into why I believe the defense let the team down and ultimately led the Houston Texans to a loss. All right, Texans fans, listen, most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch does all of the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals. Also, you can finally get in control of your money without even touching a spreadsheet. Monarch makes it easy to review your finances with your partner. I do with mine. And we both can set a budget, see the budget, know what the budget looks like, create goals and spending all in one place. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code Locked On NFL at Monarch Money in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code Locked On. Also, listen, you want to be like Mazda? You want to be like Mazda? You should be like Mazda. Mazda makes it easy to kind of move when you want to move, how you want to move. Mazda craft cars for those who do more than just simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes switch all the details. Mazda brings the same intention on how they craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. With all of the all-wheel drive standards included in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, they sweat every detail. Because when you move how you want to move, Because when you move, when you feel like moving, when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant, right? Monster, move and be moved. Texan fans, it's a sad Tuesday for a lot of us simply because this was a team that we kind of knew. Like I picked the Bucs to win this game. And it was a flip game for me. The first 2 weeks of the season, if we go back to, for my everydayers, if we go back to the off-season schedule show, I was like, okay, who can win what game? I picked the Rams to win the first game. I picked the Houston Texans to, win the second game against the Bucs, essentially have them starting out 1-1. But ultimately looking at both of those games as flip games, it can go either way. Now they're on 2. And like I said, defensively, it was a letdown, but I want you guys to hear from DeMeco Ryans on just some of the issues that plagued Houston throughout the game last night.
Yeah, we had communication issues up front, and they got us on some blitzes, things that, we've seen, we work. We have to look at the film to see what those issues were, but we got to, of course, not have those and make sure we're picking things up the right way. We got the guys we need. We just have to execute better. Yeah, the penalties on defense, it was very costly penalties because these penalties gave them first downs. We had a sack. We got them backed up, stopped, and it's just senseless. Like some of the mistakes they were making, hands too high. Again, it goes back to technique, right? We got to make sure we're doing that the right way. And every guy has to be accountable, right, for how you're showing up and how you're playing the game. We got to play clean football, and we can't hurt the team. But right now, those plays and penalties that we had definitely hurt us. I have to look at the film, but obviously if we go out on offense, it's a collective effort. But if we go 2 for 9 on third down, right, what do we expect? If we can't get the ball in at the goal line, what do we expect is going to happen? Like our guys, everybody on offense, got to make plays. Defense, we got to make a play there. We got multiple opportunities at the end of the game to close it out. We got to tackle better, and we got to make the plays. There's no magic secret or any secret sauce. Like we got to stand up and make the plays. If you want to be a big-time player in this league, you got to show up and make plays. Yeah, the run game is definitely not good enough. It starts up front with our tackles. It wasn't good enough. We didn't play our technique the proper way. We didn't tackle well today, and multiple times, their backs did a really nice job running the football, bouncing off of guys. We didn't wrap well. We didn't, finish. So a lot of times we were there, but initial contact, they continued to press forward and make plays, right, to get positive yards in the run game, and we did not tackle well. We did not play technique well up front. When you run the ball for over 150 yards, it's going to come down to tackling and execution, right? And then on the flip side for us offensively, we did not run the ball well, right? Chubb had one, nice run there to get in the end zone, but overall, it's just not good enough in the run game, right? We're getting knocked back at the line of scrimmage. We can't get the play started. So we got to look at it all and see how we can get it fixed.
That's DeMeco Ryans. I think that where he is right now is kind of weighing on him, but we look at the defensive letdown. I do want to give kudos to the defense for forcing 7 straight drives to either punt or a missed field goal. They gave all they could, but because this is a defensive team, I have to speak on the glaring issues from Monday night, and that is 19 missed tackles. Inexcusable. Calen Bullock, once again, terrible eyes in coverage. That has cost the team in back-to-back weeks. There's a problem here, and Houston knows it. DeMeco Ryans dialed back the blitzes and relied on the front forward pressure. I think Houston has too many weaknesses in the secondary and coverage, and as a result, cannot trust those guys on the back end, which is why he's relying on Will and Danielle Hunter, to create as much pressure from their 4-man front as possible because he doesn't want to get caught with some of those guys having to take on additional assignments that they're not ready for if they are left in one-on-one coverage. That's a problem for Calen Bullock. Listen, when you talk about his strengths is I'm going to put you back there, right? You play the deep ball, and when the ball's in the air, you can go get it. But you cannot ask him consistently to get into one-on-one coverage. That's going to continue to hurt the team. But I think the story of this game defensively is the amount of missed tackles. Got some guys not even wrapping up, and how that led to the Bucs being able to hold the ball for 37 minutes. How that led to the Bucks being able to rush the ball for 170 yards on the ground, nearly 6 yards per carry, controlling the clock, and bully Houston up front. And that led to the Bucks being able to run 72 plays compared to Houston's 46. 72 plays. Now, granted, that's almost a 30-play difference, huge disparity there, right? And when you look at the Houston Texans offense, hey, guys, another year, sample size, albeit, but another year of y'all not being able to help the defense out. However, 19 missed tackles is going to hurt any team overall. So, like when judging that last drive, again, 72 plays compared to 46, when we judge that last drive, especially the play where we see the fourth down play, Henry T, if you just come up with that sack, game over, different conversation. We're probably talking about the Houston Texans just being resilient. That'd take a time out on that last drive because some of those guys were just so gassed. The inside defensive line had no answer for the Bucs offensive line, which was disappointing because not only did they not have Tristan Wirfs out there, that starting right tackle went down in the game, they still gave up a ton of yards on the ground. Charlie Hick was out there getting some good revenge moments going in. That is how the Bucs sealed the win. Control the clock, ran down Houston's throat on the inside, especially when they got down to the inside of the 2-yard line, where that was a point where I felt like, hey, Houston, y'all need to sit in the house. It's obvious they're finna run up the A gap. They're going to run up the B gap. The inside gaps, they're going to run up those gaps. Send everybody. And honestly, I think Henry Tortora and Azeez Al-Shaair, they were right there with a chance to make the play. Wasn't a missed tackle, but it was a lackluster tackle. And Bucky Irvin was able to kind of just run into the end zone and score there. So, that's disappointing. Again, that's how the Bucs won. Houston's defense needed to make a play. Missed tackle after missed tackle cost them the game. And, of course, the defense allowing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go 2 or 3 in the red zone. That hurt the defense as well. Shout out to Will, Daniil, Sheldon Rankins. They came to play. But the defense overall, when I see 19 missed tackles, 9 of those were against the run. Of those 9, a good number of those led to first downs. That is very frustrating. PFF attributed DeMeco's touchdown to Kamari. I thought that should have been a triple call, so I have no real issues there. And in fact, Stingley and Kamari both rebounded from week 1 and performed tremendously, in my opinion. The two combined for 58 yards allowed on 11 targets, 5 catches. I thought that they had a very good day for the Houston Texans. But it was the inside guys to the second level that hurt Houston. And when they was trying to get some pressure, there was no trust back there for Calen Bullock, who it's frustrating because he was a guy. I talked about this on the show a couple of days ago on the Deep Dive show. It's frustrating when you come out and say we're going to have the best secondary, and then in the first 2 weeks, I'm seeing that the weakness of this secondary may very well be the sophomore safety, Calen Bullock, right? So Houston has a lot to clean up on, guys. Houston has a lot to, put themselves, look in the mirror and put themselves in a better situation. They got the Jags next week. That should be an easier contest. And again, they play 2 playoff teams back-to-back to open up the season. Right, a very good Rams team and a very good, tough, scrappy Bucs team led by the tough, scrappy, former walk-on quarterback turned Heisman. Like when you look at the makeup bravado of Baker Mayfield, it's get it done by any means necessary. And that showed on the final play. Houston's missing that. The Houston Texans, they are missing an offensive guy that has a gritty background, and they're missing a guy that understands getting it done by any means necessary. Baker Mayfield was banged up in that game. He got hit a ton. Will Anderson's win rate was ridiculous. He got beat up. I think he was sacked 4 times. He was hit more times, but he still found a way late to get it done. Compared to the Houston Texans quarterback, who I am a huge fan of, C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud can make every throw except the throw is needed to be made at the time they need to have it. That's just my opinion. The red zone play calling was abysmal, but I thought the route from Nico Collins, the go route, I thought that was a good route from Nico. I thought he was open at the back of the end zone. And the accuracy of CJ Stroud hurt Houston, or lack thereof, hurt Houston. That's a throw that was needed to be made. Now you go from that, and they do a rollout to the left side that was just god awful. And I'm even going to say, hey, on the 1 yard line, run it again with Nick Chubb. Or let's not get scared. Put your quarterback on the center and push him in. The Eagles are doing it. Quarterback sneak. Do it. Let's get back to some of the things that you guys said you wanted to be. You wanted to be a physical team, play physical, but you're not playing physical. That's a terrible sequence of play calls. You look on the opposite side of the field, you got Baker Mayfield, who understands, I ain't trying to go back. I ain't going back to Texas Tech. I ain't going back to being a walk-on. Or I ain't going back to getting cut from Carolina. I ain't going back to having to get a call and having to figure out a playbook in 2 days. I'm not going back to that. I'm going to be a franchise quarterback. For Houston, the lack of urgency still hurt them. They were still lollygagging after they got those 10 points. It was still an issue. No sense of urgency throughout the game when they were playing from behind. And then for CJ, we see him make every throw until it's time to make the throw that is needed to be made at the time they need it the most. Closing out today's show, man, has the faith been lost for the Houston Texans fan base? Are you guys tired of everything? And if so, what can the Houston Texans do to get over the hump? We got more Locked On Texans on the other side. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It fits however you want to bet, player props, building on same-game parlays, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye out on fantasy. It's quick, easy to use, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the fantasy app, the FanDuel Fantasy app today. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Closing out today's show was all about where's the faith right now in the Texans fan base. I think I seen somebody tweet, "Hey, CJ Stroud didn't think he's Lord and Savior. Let's not get too crazy, right?" But is the fan base tired of DeMeco, Nick Caserio, and CJ Stroud? I think we know the honeymoon phase is over. That's a byproduct of overachieving too early. Unrealistic expectations become realistic for some people. Just a quick update: DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud will be speaking to the media Wednesday, and coordinators will speak with the media on Thursday. Now, when I asked, is the faith lost for the Houston Texans? My man Farnsworth Waffle fired DeMeco. These are some of the comments that I'm reading. This team is trash can full of garbage. You throw it away, burn it. Let's look at some of the other comments. Let's just be honest. This team is not well coached. Let's look at some of the other comments. Like, people are upset right now. Let's look at here. These are some interesting comments that are being had right now. Here we go. Another season of losses and excuses. The defense was tired from their sorry ass offense not doing bleep. We'll just leave it at that. Let's see what else we have. This was the one I said, wow. This one, Joshua Jones, 23-12. I'm starting to believe what the S2 test said about CJ pre-draft. He lacks the ability to process information. There's another comment. Can we address the elephant in the room? Is CJ not who we thought he was or showed to be his rookie season? Bobby was not the main issue. Yeesh. Stroud looks the same, even a little bit worse. So between your franchise quarterback, and some of y'all may not even want to for a franchise quarterback right now. I don't know if that's an overreaction or what. between your head coach, some of y'all may not want him as your head coach right now. I don't know if that's an overreaction or what. Between your general manager, some of y'all may not want him as your general manager right now. But I don't know if that's an overreaction or what. The three people that need to see this thing through, nobody believes that they can get it done. The faith is absolutely lost. Houston can go out there and put up 30 and hold the Jags, who, right now are 1-1. They can hold them to 10 points, and Houston can go out there and score 30. They can go out and play Tennessee in 2 weeks, and Houston can score 30 points and go out there and make a bad situation a little bit more worse, which those two teams right now are currently in terms of the rankings, both teams, Tennessee and Texans, 0-2. They can make a bad situation worse. I think fans are over that, though. I'm over that. I was talking to my man Stan Norfleet, who I will get on this version of the show. Not the squad show. We'll do our own thing here in a couple of days. But I talked to my man Norfleet, and I said, hey, man, Houston came into this season in that B-tier team. And the goal for this team was to get themselves out of the top of the B tier list rankings and at the bottom of the A tier rankings, that list. You look at, we're always going to include Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, Josh Allen in Baltimore, and the Bills, and Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. You got 3 MVPs. I don't know how many they have all combined, but you got 3 MVP candidates, three MVP winners in that group, right? And Houston has played 2 of those teams in the playoffs since DeMeco Ryans has got here. Josh Allen won MVP in 2024, and he probably looked the worst against the Houston Texans, right? Cincinnati is a franchise right now that is living and thriving off names. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, whatever. But they are who I would consider very bottom of that A-tier team list or right at the top of the B-tier team list. But it's not that the Houston Texans are losing games. It's how these games are being lost for my real everydayers. If you guys remember when I was going through the coaching search, the 2 names that I really wanted, one of them was Adam Stenavich, the offensive play caller or coordinator, for the Green Bay Packers. Brought on Peter Bukowski on the show. Some of y'all hate Peter Bukowski, but I was really enthused by that hire. The other one, Jeff Nixon, Syracuse. 2 guys that has experience calling plays, or 2 guys that are experienced offensive coordinators. We got caught up in schemes, right? When the Houston Texans went with Nick Kelly, the conversation shifted for me. Okay, I'm not going to cry about spilled milk. Let's look at what his resume says. Let's look at what he said. Let's look at what the Houston Texans are doing. And we got caught up in the word that I've honestly been tired of hearing so much. Scheme, scheme, scheme. I'm here to tell y'all, you can have the best scheme in the world, but if you don't have the players in the system to perform it, then you're going to constantly be looking at the same result. Case in point, look at San Fran. They ain't won a Super Bowl yet. They even got there. They ain't won a Super Bowl yet. Scheme. Houston don't have the players. And on top of that, why invest in young, talented players when you're not going to put them out there? Justin Watson out there, as much as he's been out there, it's inexcusable. Both of those 2 young receivers from Iowa State, both of them, show glimpses of what they can be for the Houston Texans. Now, more so Jalen Nolan on special teams. Right? Jaden Higgins had his 1 catch for about, 25, 26 yards. But this offense, this is what I said on the Deep Dive show. other teams, opposing offenses, they come in, they find what a weakness is against the Houston Texans, and they continue to exploit it. The Houston Texans have not traditionally done that in the past 3 seasons. Things will work, and then they immediately go away from it. That is why it's not that they're losing these games, it's how they're losing. It's they're losing because an inexperienced play caller doesn't know when to ride a hot hand or a hot opportunity or a hot group. They're losing because the offensive line is still an issue. Though I believe at times they perform better. I thought that pass blocking was up and down. A lot of that had to do with the communication and also the protection for the running backs. Again, Dare should be out there. Urstry has some good moments, some great moments, actually. Urstry has some very good moments. They're losing because of penalties. They're losing because of defensive assignments. They're losing because they continue to get into their own way. And that takes a team from being a B-tier team at the top to now you're looking at, okay, are you a joke or not? CJ Stroud even mentioned it. People are going to talk about us. They're going to say what we're going to say, right? He's right. The media will talk about them until they prove otherwise. But for me, proving it otherwise ain't against the Jaguars or the Titans. Proving it otherwise is at the very least, based on what we've seen, they got to go split October, where it gets really tough for them. Thank y'all for watching and listening to today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, comment on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the background. I'm also still sick, but I appreciate you guys for listening. Peace.